showing you how to condition your homegrown flowers. Spoiler alert, full honesty, I didn't actually grow these flowers. I picked them from a local pick your own farm near me, and if you'd like to know more about that, leave me a comment, or I will try and remember to put the details of the local flower farm in the description underneath this video. So my flowers have been conditioned. That means I've given them some specialist treatment, and it should mean that I will get 7 days worth out of my flowers. It's hot weather at the moment, so that might be a little bit reduced, but I know for absolute certain there's going to be stems in there which will last 10 days and beyond, and that is because 2 types of flower in there are actually available commercially grown as dried flowers, so they're going to last until I am ready to throw them out. So what shall we make today? Well, I have decided that as I've got quite a large number of flowers, I'm going to dig out my classic vintage Wedgwood urn. I can't tip it up to show you the maker's mark for you because I've got it filled with water, and I'm going to, as for my mechanics, because I'm going foam free, I don't like using the single-use plastic which is flower foam. So over the last few years I've been transitioning to going foam free, and that means embracing lots of those old-fashioned ways of arranging flowers and looking back at the hints and tips of yesteryear, of flower arranging in the 20s, 30s, 40s and 50s, and seeing how they arrange their flowers and how we can make that more modern and up to date for flower arrangements that you're making today. So I've got chicken wire here. So the chicken wire that I've bought came on a reel. I think I got it from my local garden centre. The holes on my chicken wire are reasonably big, about that big, because once you crunch it up, the holes get smaller. So if you start off with quite a small gauge wire where the holes are much closer together, once you've crunched it into shape, you may find that you can't get your flower stems in place. And I've created a sort of zigzag with my mesh here. You won't be able to see because it's all been distorted, but there's a level here, there's a level halfway up, and there's a level there. Because I had this fitted in another container, so I've just tried to straighten it out a little bit. And I think probably what I'm going to do is to make this into more of an elongated balloon shape and push it down inside my vase. So if I stand here, you can see it there, way too high, and it's going to fall over at any moment. So I'm very carefully going to scrunch the wire up a little bit and actually force it down into the inside of the vase. Well, I should say place carefully. I'm not forcing it because I don't want it to, scratch my vase. I don't want to break the vase. I don't want the vase to topple over, and of course I don't want water all over my kitchen floor. And then what I'm doing now is just stretching out the wire a little bit so it covers the whole of that area, giving me a nice mounded shape. So at the moment I've got this much water in the vase, and I've got extra water in my coffee butt, and I'll be able to top that up later. So shall we make a start? Do shout out when you come across a flower that you know the name of, and then we can have a talk about it, and let me know if you're making and creating alongside me how you're getting on and what flowers you would like to use if you were doing a similar arrangement. I'm umming and ahhing here because I can't quite decide what to use. I have got some sunflowers in here, but I think I might save them for something else. So let's see, should I save them or should I use them? There is a big question. I think I might use them actually, otherwise they're going to get left. So I've got 3 different varieties. I've got that one there, which is probably the biggest one I've got, with a nice sort of coppery colour tinge to the petals. And then more of a sort of peachy blush. And this one I do know the name of because it's called Teddy Bear, and it's fluffy and furry all the way through. And the flower that escaped, well, have a look. let me know in the comments what you think that's called. So what I'm going to do is move my urn. I've got it on a turntable. I'm going to move it to the edge of the table because I'd like to just measure up how short I need to cut this flower. And I can do that best if the stem falls down in the open space next to my table, rather than me trying to bend the stem to work out how long it needs to be. So I'm going to cut long first. If you're a bit nervous about what to cut, I'm cutting on the diagonal. That gives you a greater surface area for taking up the water. And I'm having that first flower, which is my largest of my small sunflowers, just sort of resting its head on the neck of the vase. And then I'm going to come in a little bit higher. That's about there. With my next one. And at the moment I'm just having to wend my way through the chicken wire. Once I've got a set number, a number of stems in there, it won't matter about trying to get the stems to lock in place, because there'll be so many other stems in there that eventually they will all fit together. And then I've got my little teddy bear here. I'm going to take off some of these leaves because they look like they're going to sort of swamp the flower. I might just leave 2 of them on there. Oops. And I don't think I need to cut anything off that, because actually I wanted this flower a little bit taller, so that the I had a larger flower, a middle-sized one, and a tall one. Ideally, I'd want that one up like this, but I would have to put absolutely loads of water. It would practically be coming right up to the brim, and I think probably I could do that now, but you can place your bets as to whether I would remember to top the water up. So I think I'm going to stick with the 2 sunflowers there, give that a recut, and I'm going to put that one in at the side. So I've got my chunkier stems in first, and then that means I can fill in with all the others. I would say these flowers are all quite fine stemmed apart from the sunflower, and I'm just going to take a flower and put it in and see where it takes us. So the dark cosmos. Are you growing your own cosmos? I grew some last year, it was quite successful. This year, out of a whole packet of seeds, I've only got about 2 flowers, or two plants, never mind, and they're not even in flower yet. So I'm very envious of the flowers that everyone else has got. What I am trying to do is, I'm started with cosmos, is I'm going to put as many of the cosmos stems as I can see inside the vase, and then come back with my next flower. So I'm just trying to distribute these ones evenly around the vase, and then it looks like I've a more considered arrangement. There's a nice tall one. I'm going to have to take off these side shoots here, the leaves, because they're going to sit inside the vase, and if they end up underwater they're just going to rot and shorten the life of everything else inside the vase. So various shades of pink. These come in white as well, but I didn't choose to pick any white cosmos from the flower farm because I wanted more vibrant colours. This one here is a gorgeous peachy colour, peachy, apricotty, that kind of colour. And I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to take the darker petalled cosmos out and swap that in for my rather striking apricot cosmos, and once that was the right length, I can just cut it the same length as the other one. I'm going to cut this dark purple one slightly shorter, so the darker colours are in the heart of the arrangement, and then the colour will sort of leach out to the sides. So as well as having your bigger flowers toward the centre, having the darker flowers as well. What do you think? Now when you do your flower arranging, of course you can stop at any time. You might decide that you don't want to do one massive arrangement, you want to have lots of little ones, so do what suits you. I thought the luxury of having a whole bucket of freshly picked, freshly grown flowers deserved a showstopper arrangement. So what I'm doing as well, I've got a turntable, so I'm always remembering where the front of my arrangement is. So this arrangement is going to be reasonably flat backed, but have lots of profile at the front, because when I put this in my living room, it's going to go up against a wall, so I don't want all my best flowers at the back. But you do need to put things in round the side with a little hint of something at the back, just so that it looks like a lovely 3D arrangement. Just moving my flowers off to one side. If I didn't have quite as many flowers, I might have laid these out on the kitchen table, and then I'd be able to look look at what I'd got. So being very careful not to damage any heads when some of the stems have got tangled. I'm going to head in next with scabious. Nice tall scabious again. So I might as well, I cut my flowers long on purpose so they'd be more versatile. I'm sure I've got some more scabious. A deeper pink one there, and that can go at the front, because if you cut your flowers long, you might as well, subject to space that you've got at home, you might as well enjoy a really big arrangement. And I've got zinnias next, so I've got a pink zinnia, a lime green, a peachy one, so I've got 3 to get me going. These would look lovely, any of the flowers look lovely, just massing like with like, and putting them in a vase just all together. So just an arrangement of one kind of flower, again, adds to that feeling of quiet luxury. Can you see what I did with that pink scabious there? I'm sort of telling a little story here. Your eyes dancing to the dark there, to this one here, and then up to the top. You're making a little sort of pathways for all your flowers. Now, my teddy bear sunflower was that side. Now this is an orangey scabious. Scabious is not a scabious. Now I'm stuck. What is it called? Zinnia. I'm going to put it in, recut the stem end. I'm going to put that in to sort of mirror the positioning of the sunflower, so it's got somebody else to talk to on the other side of the arrangement. So there's sort of visual connections between the two. This flower here, talking to this one here, similar sorts of colour. And then my lovely green scabious is quite small, so if it's small it could go in quite tall, so I can add extra height, or perhaps I might want to come out to the side. So stand back, have a look, where does it want to go? Make sure the vase is facing me. So I think that wants to go there. I basically look for a gap. I kept some of that foliage on, and it's just started to cover up the mechanics, started to cover up the chicken wire. I think momentarily I'd forgotten where my front is there. I'll shuffle around, all is good. Dahlias next, so we're in the middle of dahlia season. Beautiful dark purple, I've got a sort of shocking yellow, a bit of acid yellow, more dark purple, just being really careful as I tease these out of my bucket. Don't want to damage anything as I've paid for all those lovely blooms. And I've got some smaller ones as well, so I shall come to those in a moment. So here I've got the main flower on it and 2 buds. The buds might not open out, but I think I might keep them all on the same stem. So that's a darker colour flower. I'm getting that to sit down a little bit under the zinnia, gives a little bit of depth, a little bit of recession. So I've got that one there. I might come out to the side. Really, I'm just looking for a gap. And remembering that when you're arranging flowers in a vase, once you've got your mechanics set, doesn't mean that everything has to sit upright in the vase as it would if you were just cutting your flowers and plonking them in. So you can get them to splay out a little bit to the side. And as long as you've got this stem here, it's sort of probably landing a bit there, about there, as long as you've got enough water in there, they will stay alive. Looking good, eh? Right. I've got quite a good central area, but I think I can fill out a bit here and a bit over there. So slightly, I've got more dahlias and a zinnia and a dahlia and a dahlia and pom-pom dahlia. Oh, one of the dahlias looks like it's gone over, it's dropped its petals. I need to nip that off, or perhaps you might like to include buds in your arrangement and part open flowers. But maybe if you want to really embrace nature, you might even want to keep some of those flowers that look like they're going over, just to sort of have the full cycle of life. This dahlia here is a quarter open, I would guess, so I'm going to get lots of enjoyment of that as it opens out over the next few days. This one here is sort of nodding its head. I reckon if I accidentally tap that, catch the door as I'm walking through to the dining room, quite possibly the petals might fall off. Again, either take the whole stem out of the vase or just accept that I'm going to embrace the look of the centre of the flower without any petals. Darker zinnia there. So this was my original dark zinnia, and that second dark zinnia is put down there. So it's recessed underneath. This gives a better depth of field, makes your flowers, really enhances the 3D look. So by coincidence, everything I've put in my flower arrangement is round, is a round form, but I have got different shapes in here. So let's think about some different shapes. So here we've got a line form or a spike. I don't know the name of this. It almost looks like a weed. Of course, a weed is only a flower that's in the wrong place. I'm going to cut that there, and I think I'd like to have my arrangement looking as if it's just tapering off at the top. And these lovely stems here, all quite fragile, and they're dancing and bouncing around a little bit. So we're embracing some natural movement. Another spike form. Might bring that out to the side. And what else have we got? More spikiness here. So I think I've just got 3 of these. I've put a tall one at the front, one at the side, and then one at the other side. So it's like the head and then 2 hands standing out at the side, but keeping it all very loose and open. I just love the way it bounces around a little bit. So, remember I said I had some of my flowers going to last for ages. So these are the first bunch of flowers, first group which will last for ages. These are straw flowers. They have their proper name as well. Helichrysum is coming to me. So if you are growing helichrysum and you do want to harvest them as dry flowers, I think you need to harvest them when they're not fully open. You don't want to be able to see the centre of the flower. Otherwise, they do continue to open as you're wanting them to dry. And I think if you leave them for too long before you pick them, you just leave the whole flower as being a little bit vulnerable to, opening fully. So really, if you were growing flowers to dry, there's a difference between a dead flower and a dried flower. I think you either need to, you see what I mean there? This one's opened out in the middle, so I don't think that will dry so well. On the whole, I would advise if you're wanting to dry flowers, you pick them slightly earlier than you might consider if you were putting them into a vase arrangement. So that one is probably halfway perfect. So I've got a perfect one for drying, one I think is a bit beyond dry, and another one that quite possibly could be dried. So I've gone back to my round shapes again now. And away we go. So do I need any foliage? So I haven't got much foliage here, but what I have got is this dark-leaved celosia. So if this was allowed to mature a little bit longer, it would sort of actually get these sort of velvety plumes of, sort of tufts. And I'm thinking if I put that in as a sort of piece of foliage, it talks quite well to my dark zinnias and dahlias. So now I'm getting a little bit congested in my vase. I want that to go down just to sit down a little bit. It's given me a much darker centre, and I don't want it to be too dominant. I'm almost thinking that I might want that to sit shorter, but what I am going to do is go in with my scissors, because that tiny deep pink zinnia I've just put in is totally hidden by the leaf of the zinnia in front of it. So I can just very carefully snip off the offending leaves so I can actually see the flowers. You won't be able to see the difference, but I will take a photograph and put it in my Facebook group. So are you a member of my Facebook group? I'll leave a link to it in the description under the video, but if you want to search now, it's if you search for Flower Start, and you'll find it. Flower Start, I can't remember the name of the group now. The World of Flowers or something. If you start typing Flower Start, I think you'll find it. The short stem there, it's got sort of a natural arch, and that's about as far back as I want to go, because when that's at the front, you just get a glimpse of it. And any further back round, it would be lost. So can you see now the difference between me and the very floriferous, the multiple flowers you can see at my side compared to when, as I'm working on my arrangement, you're seeing the back. So these, I don't know what these are called, they're very delicate, quite a sort of cold, light purple colour. So tucking those inside, more the little sort of button dahlia there. Side I've got a very deep burgundy scabious. It's quite dark. I might see if I can put that really low, and it might nod down, and you'll see it silhouetted against the white of my vase. Is that showing up? Just down there. Oops, that one there. Standing back like an artist, admiring my flowers. I think I have got enough flowers to do another arrangement. So, snipping those off. This is another pair of the dark scabious, so I might put in 2 stems together, quite low, just to again sort of balance out the scabious on the other side. I'm not looking to, oh, I like that. Can you see the budded scabious here is just being silhouetted against the yellow dahlia? So I'm not aiming for a particular shape. If you're a flower arranger that goes to a flower club, or you've taken courses, you might have been taught how to do, symmetrical triangles and asymmetrical triangles. I'm really trying just to let the flowers talk, and for the flowers really to tell me where I want them to go. And in that way, it's sort of Dutch, like a painting of Dutch masters' paintings. That's sort of my aim. A little bit of a peachy zinnia there. More dahlias. I can do with a little bit, quite a lot of green here from all my other, the leaves on the other flowers. I've got a nice orange at the back. Quite a long stem, so I'm going to go long first and just accept when I change the water in a couple of days. I might decide if everything can be taken down a level, made it slightly shorter. It's always a good idea to recut your stems. So I've just put that one there. So again, it's sort of building up in all the layers. Back around the beginning. Make sure I know where the front is. It's that big sunflower. I've got little shell, what do you call these? The little handles on the vase. So I do know when it is the right way around. I'm thinking though I could do with something recessed a little bit, and I have got quite a large white aster. So I haven't really got a lot of white in here. I've picked this because it was the first of the asters I've seen this year, but I don't want it to dominate, so I'm going to put it right down in the centre. One of those flowers you just get a glimpse of without it flashing, that's bright white. And as I've put it in, for me, it's suddenly talking to this very peachy, pale peach colour zinnia. So it's sort of starting to get these connections. I've got the snowberries, so normally we'd see these, you know, perhaps in the winter time. They come in white or pink, but they're very much a sort of foliage stage. So I'm going to put those in. So my tallest one's got a bit of an arch. I might bring that a little bit towards the mid, well, keeping this first purple one towards the back. And sometimes you want your stems, they've got an arch on them. If they're arching that way, put them that side, and if they're arching this way, to put them that side. If they're sort of curling the wrong way, it can look a bit confusing to your eye. So do, you know, let the flowers tell you where they naturally want to sit. Looks good. I can hear the little berries, they're pinging off when I touch the flower, touch the stems, and they're landing on the kitchen floor with a little bit of peep, 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 peep. Again, more. Let's go, until I can't get any more stems in. Oh, this is lovely. Now, when I was conditioning my flowers, it was very hot when I picked them, and on the way home some of them are flagged. I did wonder whether this one might perk up again. So it hasn't perked up again, but it's a natural stem. I haven't been to the supermarket to buy my flowers, I haven't been to a flower wholesaler, so they're not all a consistent height. So you embrace it. It's all part of Mother Nature's plan. So I might actually keep that all on the long stem, and it can just sit to the side, and it's just because it's come out a little bit, it's making my arrangement a little bit wider, a little bit taller, and it's just going to look absolutely magnificent. Another spike form here. So having put that in, I've noticed there's a tiny bit of a gap there, so I can have that one in there. I've got one white cosmos. What do you think? The thing about the white cosmos is it is very white, but it has got a yellow centre, so perhaps, you know, I could have this towards the back. I'm not entirely sure. Now I'm sort of positioning it in front. Let me just make sure I am at the front. I've got that white aster tucked down low. I've got my pale zinnia, so perhaps I could just have it turning away slightly, just so it's replicating the form of the zinnia of the cosmos in front. Oh, I was confused there. I had two different colour flowers on the head. They were just too close together. So it's actually nodded off to the side. So it's not saying bloop, bloop, bloop. This is a huge white flower. And I actually get a glimpse of the yellow middle, and the yellow talks more coherently to the flowers. I do wonder whether this is twisted round. Right then, the sunflowers at the front. That dahlia has just slipped a little bit because I keep twisting my vase around. Are you all in the right area? You are. Yes. Okay then. Now, one of the flowers I didn't know the name of were these little delicate ones. If you're a gardener, you're bound to know. They look like a really delicate gladioli that's almost like an orchid. They're not liking the heat. I'm going to pick off some of the blooms that have gone over, but it's still got, you know, a little bit of flower there. But I might put them in as one stem. So they're quite dainty stems, and I don't want to damage the flowers anymore, so if I put them in one place, and then I can just separate them out a little bit. It just means that if I'm handling them less, they're not going to break. I won't twist around now because they're so small you won't be able to see them, but I can see the little buds that are ready to open. Look, I've got some more of slightly shorter of the spike form. We cut the stem ends. I've got two of these, so I might go in the middle there, and then I might have another one, again, so they're talking to each other. The only time you have to be careful with twos, I've grouped them there and there, is if you have a big flower here and a big flower here, it sort of looks like car headlights or ears or jazz hands. So that's why you hear flower arrangers talking about putting things in as threes. But to make it more modern, you could play around with twos, and if you get them to mirror each other, it just gives a slightly more modern look. I'm not entirely sure what this is. I think it's probably gone over. The flowers have all flowered, and I'm left with quite an interesting seed head. So back to the middle for me. I could have that nice and tall, lifting the eye out. It's just behind that pinky cosmos and the white one that I put in. Oh, I might just get the white cosmos. No, I thought I was going to see whether it would lean its head on that, but I don't want to break it. So there. I'm just feeling as well that I've got a nice side around there. I might just need something at that 3/4 angle around the side, keeping it all together. So recut the stem. This is another aster in a peachy colour. I'm finding my way through the stems. Yes, it just gives me just a hint of something, and I think I need something lower coming off the side. I've got a slightly smaller aster. Again, I could double up to pretend they're on the same stem with the bud and the flower. It's those two flowers there that just gone in. Bring it back to the centre. So I should say that the sunflower is my centre bit with the little handles here, but you don't need to have your main flower dead centre. I think at the end it's quite nice to sort of have it just offset slightly. So where are we going next? I've got Antirrhinum, the snapdragon, and an interesting flower I don't know the name of. So the Antirrhinums, they were just going over. I think, and the other flower, it looked a little bit like a hibiscus. I don't know whether it is or not. So in the middle, Antirrhinum's got, that one's got a nice lot of flowers, blossom on it. But I've just knocked one, so I'm just going to pinch that off and get rid of it. And then the two that are sort of pinkyish, I'm going to tuck those down together. It just makes them look a little bit more impactful. So again, I don't think you'll be able to see where I've added those. It all looks good. So what I'm left with at the moment is I've got some statice. I don't always like that. It is statice, yes. I've got clary sage, which is a really decorative foliage. I'd like to get that in. Something else with a spike. Let's see if I can get those in. Oops, I've just dropped one. So recut the stems. I'm cutting all of them at the same time. I'm going in with my clary sage. And if you are arranging like this, just make sure you're not misfiring and ending up with stems at the back. It sounds obvious, but your flowers do need to be in water. Wiggle down, so be careful, you have to be a degree of firmness, but not so firm that everything starts to break. And I've got one Sweet William. I think they've done the last of the Sweet Williams. I've got another scabious, another cosmos, a white flower that looks like it's died or gone over, and some more of that clary sage. Let's get these last few stems in and then see what we've got. And then I'll have to tidy up, sweep the kitchen floor, mop up any of the spilled water. It's not that I'm spilling the water, it's as I take the stems out of the bucket, it's just sloshing a bit of water around, taking off any green bits which will be in the water in the vase. Scabious, could like that one there. Oh yes, and that there again. I'll twist it round, but it just looks like more flowers. And there's some other beautiful things here. So I don't know whether I'm going to put these in. I've got Lady's Mantle. It hasn't come out into flower yet. I have, this might be quite nice to put in. It's scabious, but it's just the buds, so they may well never open, but it's got a rather nice arch on it. So if I cut like that, it will arch out of the stem, out of the vase. And I quite like that when you've got something a little bit lower, because it's giving you sort of a visual connection between your tabletop and the vase. So it's not like you've got the vase straight up and then the flowers. You kind of want them almost sort of like they've melted and end up on your tabletop. So anything that does have an arching quality is always your friend. In fact, I'm going to move that because I want it closer to the front. Lovely, lovely. And although the Lemonian isn't my favourite, it has got a sort of nice sort of pinky tinge, this one. I chose the pink one. I haven't got the white or the yellow one or dark purple. I just preferred the more delicate look of these. And I guess these will dry, so perhaps I could put them where they want to go, because I don't have to be reliant on a water source, but I want my arrangement to look nice. And again, it's about deciding whether you're harvesting them to dry or whether you're actually wanting to create a flower arrangement. That one I've put in, it looked too tall, so I cut it down into 2 stems and then put them back into the vase as if they were still connected to each other, but they just sort of sank down to the right place. Really more colour. So I reckon I did pretty well. It's really good fun going to the flower farm and picking. It just feels like a total luxury experience. Slightly concerned that the day I went, it was really, really warm, and how well the flowers would last on the way home. I think I managed to pick a dahlia and lost the petals on that one, and that one didn't survive. So out of that whole bucket of flowers I bought, I have had very few casualties. So obviously good quality flowers, but I did condition them before, as soon as I got home, and they were sitting in my comparatively cool garage before I started arranging them. And I think I might leave it at that. These just look too green, don't they? So what do you reckon? Out of that bucket of flowers, so the bucket of flowers cost me £20. It wasn't, I conditioned them and put them in a bigger bucket. I actually picked them in a bucket that you see in the Florist's window, one of the galvanised buckets with an opening about that big and about that high. So I did manage to put loads and loads of flowers into my bucket. But the trick is to know how to look after your flowers, and then you can create something that looks really, really sumptuous and luxurious, and you get value for money. So what I'll need to do is to top this up with water. I'm using this little thrifted coffee pot. And then I need to make sure the water level is kept topped up, and I may even need to sort of lift the whole flowers out, and they'll be locked into the chicken wire mesh if I wanted to tip all the water out and just give a quick clean to my vase before I refilled it with fresh water. So I hope you enjoyed that video. Now, if you're going to have a go at this project, why not tag me in a photograph? You'll find me on Instagram at flowerstart_, or join the Facebook group, Flower Start World, that's what it's called, and I'll leave a link to that in the description underneath this video. Well, that's all from me for now. I've got a little bit of tidying up to do, and then I think we're going to go to the beach for an evening walk.